the largest, most important cooperative mission that humanity can imagine. Wow, that is pretty amazing, pretty powerful words. What does it mean? Let's get into it. Hello, my name is Dr. Imaginous. I'm not a doctor, I just play one here on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Here's today's download. The ultimate mission in a nutshell is to be a multi-planeted society and travel amongst the stars, to be interstellar. I think that would be the ultimate mission. I haven't made a video for a few because I've been deep in thought. My Imaginous and I have been really trying to iron out the pathway for us as a society. You know, that sounds pretty weird and pretty big, but when you're a dreamer, you dream big. In years past, a dreamer would be recognized for his imagination, but in today's society, it's like tinnitus with the internet. There's just so much noise. So it's hard to get a message out. But the message that's trying to get out here is how can we get past all this politicalness, all the problems that we're seeing in our society. And it's amazing that it's almost kind of been laid out for us for 50 years or more. And our science community has embraced it over the generations. We've strived for these kind of moments because of this one thing that we all know. And I'll let you know here in a minute what I'm talking about. Trying to get to space and be a multi-planeted system is a huge step.
Why make life multiplanetary? And I think this is just an incredibly important thing for the future of life itself. So there's both I call it the sort of the defensive reason or the life insurance reason. That's one part of it, which is that there's always some chance that something could go wrong on Earth. The dinosaurs are not around anymore. There could be some calamity that where we do ourselves in, or there's a natural disaster. Now I'm naturally an optimist, so I think the probability of that is low, but it is not zero. And eventually the sun will expand. It might take a few 100 million years, so don't hold your breath. But eventually, the sun will expand and destroy all life. So for those who really care about not just the humans, but all the life on Earth, it is very important, essential, that over the long term, that we become a multi-planet species and ultimately even go beyond the solar system and bring life with us. And, we are life's stewards, life's guardians. The creatures that we love they can't build spaceships, but we can, and we can bring them with us. And I think that's pretty important, for those that care about the environment and care about all the creatures on Earth. So that's like I would say like the defensive or the life insurance reason for life collectively. But there's also an inspiring reason, which is that life can't just be about solving problems. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart, that make you glad to be, when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about the future. And going out there and being a multi-planet species and being a spacefaring civilization and making science fiction, not fiction forever, I think that's one of those things. You know, I think that's just that's what fires me up the most. Is like, let's go out there and find out what this universe is all about.
The seed's been planted. The seed of multiplanetary society has been planted. And Elon is the main driver for that. And it's a beautiful vision. But how are we going to get there? There's so many things that have to be done, and we have to help them as a society if we want to survive as a race. There has to be cooperation. If we do not use our resources that we have on our planet for this task, then it could be one of the great filters that Fermi talked about, that we use all our resources up, fight, go to war. This is our fate. This is where we're headed if we don't pull our strings together and start building a better society. And the path has already been there, and it's been there for 50 years. And there's, it might take a crackpot like me to say something like this, but building a Starfleet Academy type, and I know that sounds weird, Star Trek, but think about what it's going to take to get to Mars. Maybe Gene Roddenberry and his vision wasn't the right answer, but it gave us the right question. And it gave us a rough draft. I would call it a rough draft. And he was a dreamer. And everything in our society at one point was a dream. So chasing your dreams is what every person that has successfully made it in our society tells you to do. Chase your dream. Well, as a society, our dream has always been to go to space because of this man and his vision. We've all inspired through this man at one point in our lives and thought about being up there, looked up at the stars and wondered about it. Not a person on this planet has not done that. And we've always had the answer. In our society, our science community has always kind of drifted to this, this inspiration.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Her ongoing mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Well, the shout out, needs to go to people, young people. If they wanted to make something better for themselves and be a part of something that would actually be beneficial to our country or our society, not even our country, our society, the whole world. This is the pathway, but it's not just Starfleet Academy. Oh, that's weird. Okay? But it's not. Let me explain. So, we have a seed and we have a goal. So this is to be a multi-planetary society, okay? How do we get there? I mean, it's like a paradox. It's a multi-planet paradox. There's so many avenues that are going to have to be crossed, and questions are going to have to be answered. Questions are going to have to be asked first. There's probably questions in here that haven't even been asked. So we have to start out with a root system, you know. We have to start figuring out each one of these will be roots, people, equipment, training, materials, and etc. and etc. You know, I mean, there's just, you know, it becomes a root system. And this root system has to feed up into our goal. Okay? So all these points have to be, before we could even think about going up there, we have to train people to do all these different tasks that we don't even really know what we're going to be up against. And that is a huge dilemma. And I call it the multi-planet paradox. There's so many things, so many filters, there's so many things that has to be discussed, built, talked about, engineered, practiced, tested, before we even, Gene Roddenberry, I mean, his imagination has fueled our society for over 50 years. Our scientists, everybody has been inspired by this. Everybody knows the plan. Everybody knows what it's all about. It's trying to make that system happen in today's society. Now that it's technology, it has actually caught up to Star Trek.
We need to seize the opportunity and do it as quickly as possible. I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days. And like I said, I'm an optimist, but I think we got to protect the downside here and try to build that city on Mars as soon as possible and secure the future of life. And it's going to be an incredibly exciting adventure. Now, the sales pitch for going to Mars is that it's going to be cramped, dangerous, difficult, very hard work. You might die. And that's the sales pitch. I hope you like it. So far from being some sort of escape hatch, it will be extremely difficult and dangerous and tough. Mars is a fixer-upper of a planet, and so it's going to take some work to make it easy to live there. But one day we could make Mars a planet like Earth, and I think we should.
I understand the politics behind something like this would be tremendous. The power that something that like this could wield would be tremendous. These are all paradoxes and filters that we have to go through to get this multi-planeted system to actually be something we could do. I envisioned that you can have 4 different job corps type, Space Academy, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. 4 different places that you train people, that you can pull people from inner cities, and they could go in there at the age of 14, 14 years old in a structured environment. People, there is no way, no solutions for anybody to get out of the inner city, or Johnny to get out of the country, or Mary Beth out of the, suburbs. Everybody's just kind of like, which way do I go? Which way do I go? There's just too much noise and no focus, no game plan. No, our leaders just led us down a path that is no path. There is no path, no guidance. Everybody's lost their way. This is a way to get back on track, to have something that we can actually work for as a country.
Starship is capable of doing that. It's capable of getting 1 million tons to the surface of Mars and creating a self-sustaining city. And I think we should try to do that as soon as we can. The window of opportunity may be open for a long time, and I hope it is, but it may also be open for a short time. And this is the first point in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth that it has been possible. I mean, let that sink in.
It's inspiring for us as a society to look for something. We have no heroes no more. We have our sports athletes, and we have our, Hollywood and, all that stuff, and that's cool. But we don't have any more John Glenn's or, Neil Armstrongs. We have great people like, we've turned our society into, like, who could be the richest man in the world. And, I'm calling those guys out to make this happen because, they benefited off of everything that our society has done. Now, Elon, I feel like he's actually working towards this, and he probably is like, hell yeah, that's probably exactly what we need, and he's probably thinking about it already. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the man because, if he's like me, he says it never turns off. Well, it never turns off for me either. I have to think about this. I've been thinking about this for 8 years. Never knew how to do it until Dr. Pepper was able to put this out for me. But it's been rattling around in my head, and I'm trying to do it as simplistic as I can because it's like the Fermi paradox. It's the multi-planet paradox. There's so many different lanes and so many different filters that we're going to have to cross as a society to actually get this passed. If we use everything up, we won't be able to do this if we use all our natural resources. But the cool thing about it, we can use our natural resources to build this, to go there and learn how to be self-sustaining on this planet, because we have to be self-sustaining on that planet over there. And if we learn how to be self-sustaining on this planet, it'll be a lot easier to be self-sustaining on the other planet. I'm just saying, if we learn on this place, on this planet, we can get there.
The critical threshold, I think, for Mars is to have a city that is self-sustaining. It's going to be incredibly difficult to make a self-sustaining city because if it's missing any ingredient at all, however minor that ingredient is, then if the ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, the city will die out. So the critical threshold to pass one of the most important great filters for any species is to have the other planet no longer dependent on the original planet.
Let's take Elon. He can't, carry everybody over the finish line. He's going to need some help. There's going to need to be other angles. He's going to need a whole generation of people learning, building, putting together, trying different things to get this accomplished. The people that are going to be training the people that actually go to Mars, okay? Because we have so much to build. We have to build on top of what they built on, and then we have to build on top of what they built. And then we could go and have a two multi-planeted society. But if we do not practice and train and have generations, our next generation be on board, I mean, I go in my mind and I see a gazillion things that has to be done before that. But I see a gazillion places for people to contribute. That's what I see. I mean, that's the vision I see. I know it's hard. I know it's hard out there in the world, and especially with all this noise. But we have to find some sort of focal point. We have to find some sort of goal. As Americans, we don't have that big, beautiful, bold American building spirit no more. We lost it. www.whatever is not going to teach you how to run a heavy piece of heavy equipment or become a nurse. And it's going to cost you to go. I say you get paid to learn. Because if it's big enough, it will be self-sustaining. It will not have to be funded by the government. If we have to go, and it could be subsidized or paid back from the government, if we go and clean up, say, the academy goes and cleans up New Orleans after a flood, you know, they're going to have to pay somebody to do it. So why not my crew that could go get it done, help the people, has all the experience, the medical, the housing, people to cook, people to clean, people to help the elderly, the sick, relocation, housing. I could go on forever. The benefits of having our young kids coming into a disaster area that want to work, that want to have just because our kids fundamentally want to be that. We have to know that this is going to be a massive undertaking. And it's not going to get done overnight. And it's going to be a heavy lift. It's going to be hard. It's going to be big. I think the mission is to find balance on our planet and another planet. I think that's a short-term goal. I think the long-term mission would be to be interplanetary, you know. That would be the ultimate goal. But we have to set our sights on smaller goals. I think there's way too many things that need to happen before we could send people to Mars to colonize.
You know, if we go out there and we explore the galaxy, ultimately, then we can find out some of these questions. And it would just be very exciting to do that. And something we can all look forward to. And even, you know, whether somebody chooses to go or not, I think, you know, vicariously we can all go there, just like with Apollo, where, you know, only a handful of people went to the moon. But in a sense, we all went there. Humanity went there. And so even if somebody doesn't choose to go themselves, I think vicariously through others, they will go, they will understand, they will experience the universe. And I think that's incredibly fundamental to an exciting future.
I'm calling out all the people in America. Not the left, not the right, not the black, not the white, Not the rich and not the poor. I'm calling out human beings. Stop and find a focal point in your life. And this could be something that burns like a sun through a magnifying glass, if it's focused enough.
Let's make this real. Yeah. Cool.